Hurricane Lala hits Hawaii, 42,000 plus. Lose power as life-threatening flooding hits. Big Island. Hurricane Lala is battering Hawaii's Big Island, and more than 42,000 customers are already without power. The island now faces its first possible direct hurricane hit in 155 years. Roads are closing, streams are rising, airports have been shut, and emergency officials are telling people to stay sheltered as heavy rain bands keep moving on shore. For years, a direct hurricane strike on the Big Island has been a historical rarity. But now, a Category 1 hurricane is passing close enough for hurricane force impacts, extreme surf, and flash flooding to become an immediate threat. The next hours will show how close Lala's core comes to the island, how much more rain the mountains squeeze from the storm, and whether the power grid can withstand another round of wind. But first, the situation on the ground is already serious. The National Hurricane Center says Lala has maximum sustained winds of 75 miles mph, while the National Weather Service has measured rainfall rates as high as 5 inches per hour in parts of the Big Island. At 2:14 p.m. Hawaii time, power outage. COM showed 42,189 customers without electricity statewide. Of those, 31,792 were on the Big Island, while 7,203 were in Maui County. That was not just a number on a map. Hawaiian Electric had already warned that some outages could last overnight, as crews dealt with storm damage and waited for conditions to become safe enough for full repairs. On the Hamakua coast, crews were assessing a 42-mile stretch of transmission lines after fallen trees knocked down multiple poles and structures. The scale of the grid problem had changed dramatically during the day. At 7 a.m., Hawaiian Electric reported about 4,050 customers without power on Hawaii Island. Hours later, the statewide outage count had climbed above 42,000, and the rain is not easing quickly. At 4:25 p.m. Hawaii time, the National Weather Service in Honolulu kept a flood watch in effect for Maui and the Big Island through late Saturday night. Forecasters said 10 to 20 inches of rain were possible over windward parts of the Big Island, with higher localized amounts possible. Earlier, National Hurricane Center guidance put the maximum potential near 25 inches in the hardest hit spots. Eastern Maui was expected to receive 8 to 12 inches, while western Maui and much of the rest of the island chain face lower but still significant totals. The dangerous part is how fast that water is arriving. At 3:49 p.m., the National Weather Service extended a flash flood warning for the island of Hawaii until 7 p.m. Radar showed moderate to heavy bands continuing to move across windward and southeast sections of the Big Island. Rainfall rates were running between 1 and 5 inches per hour. Hanoli Stream, Wailuku River, and Powwow Gulch were all showing elevated flow. County emergency management officials reported numerous road closures in South Hilo, Puna, and Kau. Flash flooding was already ongoing inside the warning area. That warning covered communities including Hilo, Hawaiian Paradise Park, Kapau, Honokaa, Volcano, Glenwood, Mountain View, Hawaii, Volcanoes National Park, Wood Valley, Hawaiian Acres, Keau, and Pahala. The danger is not limited to one river or one town. On an island cut by steep slopes, gulches, low crossings, and narrow roads, a rain band that stalls for even a short time can turn a local drainage problem into an access problem. The National Weather Service warned that small creeks, streams, highways, streets, underpasses, poor drainage areas, and low-lying locations could flood. That is the first major escalation. The second is the road network itself. By 12:30 p.m., Hawaii County listed both lanes of Highway 250 closed between mile markers 1 and 19. Highway 19 was closed at mile marker 53.7. Sections of Highway 11 were closed between mile markers 57 and 62, and again between 66 and 68. North Kalani Road, Howe Springs Road, Kaleki Road, Mud Lane, Puako Beach Drive, and other local roads were also affected. Mayor Kimo Alameda said the county was receiving reports of downed trees and closures across the island and urged residents and visitors to remain in safe shelter and stay off the roads. The county had already taken unusual steps before the hurricane reached its closest approach. Mayor Alameda signed a local emergency proclamation on Friday. County parks and solid waste facilities were closed Saturday. Helion bus and paratransit service was canceled for both Saturday and Sunday. Shelters were opened in Kapau, Waikoloa, Waimea, and Honokaa, with residents told to bring food, water, sleeping bags, medicine, and supplies for pets. Now the wind threat is adding another layer. Lala strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane with sustained winds of 75 millimeters. By the 2 p.m. advisory, the center was about 50 miles south of South Point and moving northwest near 8 mph. Hurricane force winds extended outward up to 35 miles from the center, while tropical storm force winds reached outward as far as 175 miles. That huge wind field matters because damaging conditions can occur far from the eye. The Big Island's mountains can make those winds even more erratic. The National Weather Service warned that highly enhanced damaging winds can develop over and downwind of mountainous terrain, well away from the hurricane center. At high elevations, observations on Mauna Kea recorded gusts above 100 mm during the afternoon. Those summit readings do not represent wind speeds at sea level, but they show how aggressively the storm is interacting with the island's terrain. And that terrain is also the answer to the rainfall question being held back from the start. The National Weather Service says moist tropical air is being forced against the island's mountains. Wet air is pushed uphill, rises, cools, and unloads more rain. That is why windward slopes can receive far more water than nearby lower or sheltered areas. It is also why the heaviest rain does not need the center of the hurricane to pass directly overhead. The ocean is becoming dangerous at the same time. A high surf warning remains in effect for east-facing shores of the Big Island and Maui through Saturday night. The National Weather Service forecasts surf of 18 to 22 feet along the Big Island's windward coast and 25 to 30 feet along the southeast coast. Maui's east-facing shores were forecast to see 14 to 18 feet. Forecasters warned of very strong breaking waves, powerful currents, dangerous channel entrances, beach erosion, overwash, and possible road closures near exposed coasts. Storm surge adds another risk. National Weather Service guidance has indicated water could rise as much as 3 feet above normally dry ground along vulnerable parts of the eastern Big Island if the peak surge lines up with the tide. That does not sound as dramatic as 25 inches of rain or 100 mph summit gusts, but surge arriving under large breaking waves can make coastal roads and low-lying infrastructure dangerous well before the water reaches its maximum depth. The disruption now reaches beyond homes and roads. The Hawaii Department of Transportation closed Hilo International Airport and planned the closure of Ellison-Onizuka Kona International Airport at Keauhou at 2 p.m. The U.S. Coast Guard moved commercial ports across the state into heavy weather condition Zulu as tropical storm force winds approached. Under Zulu, ports are closed and normal terminal, facility, and vessel operations stop unless specifically approved. That creates a third open question. How quickly can Hawaii restore movement after Lala passes? An island chain depends on ports, airports, highways, power, and communications at the same time. If one system is damaged, the others have to carry more of the load. If several are disrupted together, restoration becomes slower and more complicated. Hawaiian Electric says damage assessments have to happen before repairs can begin, and crews must wait until conditions are safe. The Coast Guard also has to evaluate port conditions before normal maritime traffic can resume. The rarity of this storm makes the moment even more striking. Research cited by the Associated Press says a Category 3 hurricane hit the northeast corner of the Big Island in 1871. If Lala's center makes a direct hurricane landfall on the island, it would be the first such hit there in 155 years. National Weather Service meteorologist Vanessa Almanza emphasized that destructive impacts do not require the center itself to cross the coastline. That point is already being demonstrated by flooding, road closures, outages, and wind damage before any final landfall classification is settled. Hawaii has seen what nearby hurricanes can do even without a direct strike on every island. Hurricane Iniki made landfall on Kauai as a Category 4 storm in 1992. University of Hawaii scientist Stephen Businger told the Associated Press that Iniki caused about $3 billion in damage, destroyed thousands of homes, and killed 6 people. That history does not mean Lala will produce the same outcome. It shows why officials are treating a rare hurricane approach as more than a routine tropical storm. There is another important difference between the headline wind speed and the real danger. The Category 1 label is based on sustained wind, but Lala's impact package includes rain, flooding, landslides, surf, surge, falling trees, damaged utility lines, road isolation, and airport and port shutdowns. The National Weather Service has already reported rain totals of up to 6 inches over 6 hours in parts of the Big Island and Maui earlier Saturday, and more rain is still moving through. In steep terrain, the flood hazard can continue even after the strongest wind moves away. So the critical clock is now running on several fronts at once. The flash flood warning on the Big Island was extended into Saturday evening. The flood watch for the Big Island and Maui remains in effect through late Saturday night. Heavy rain is expected to spread farther west across the island chain at 4 p.m. Pitikahului on Maui reported northeast winds around 25 ph with gusts to 40 mph, showing the storm's reach beyond the Big Island. The strongest marine winds around the Big Island and Maui waters were expected Saturday evening into the night, while Oahu and Kauai were expected to see worsening conditions later. Lala is also expected to interact strongly with the Big Island's terrain, which can disrupt the circulation and weaken the storm after its closest pass. But the National Hurricane Center has also indicated the system could regain strength later once it moves away over open water. That means the threat is changing, not simply switching off. For Hawaii, the immediate concern is the rain and wind already on the islands. For areas farther west, the track and intensity still matter through the next phase. The clearest signal is what emergency agencies are doing right now. Hawaii County has shelters open. Roads are closed, bus service is canceled, airports have been shut, Commercial ports are under closure conditions. Hawaiian Electric is warning about extended outages. The National Weather Service is maintaining flood and surf warnings. And more than 42,000 customers had already lost electricity before the storm finished its closest approach. Hurricane Lala does not need a dramatic final landfall point to make this a major Hawaii weather emergency. The danger is already visible in the water rising through streams, the trees and poles coming down, the roads becoming impassable, and the power disappearing across large parts of the Big Island. The next update will show whether Lala's core tracks across the southern end of the island or stays just offshore. But the most important numbers are already on the ground. 75 alimat sustained winds, rainfall rates up to 2, 5 inches per hour, 10 to 20 inches possible on windward Big Island slopes, surf reaching 25 to 30 feet on the southeast coast, and more than 42,000 customers without power statewide. The storm is still moving. The flooding threat is still active. And for Hawaii, the dangerous part is not finished. Subscribe for the real numbers on the next one.